Okay, so this we're going to be talking about RaidGuild and the RaidGuild bounties and with Dragon Quest. Just a quick explainer of what RaidGuild is. Uh, we're basically just a bunch of devs and product people in the space that had met each other through clients or through hackathons and just wanted to keep our community kind of growing and being able to do things together. So RaidGuild is a Moloch DAO that is based more on building decentralized products, working together, forming teams to work on client products. And we're about 2 or 3 months rolling now, and we're starting to get some momentum. So it's been a lot of fun. Here's our webpage. If it's something interesting to you, come check it out and come talk to us on our Discord or come join us. And we've got a lot of cool projects in the pipeline right now. We've got clients coming that we've been working on getting some deal flow with, and it's been a lot of fun. Like a lot of really interesting ideas floating around in here. Here's our webpage. We've also got a forum. You can come check out some of the things we're talking about. Here's the actual DAO page, and you can see some of the proposals that have been going through. We recently did a full migration from Moloch v1 to Moloch v2, and we have full interface and everything to manage that.
It's pretty epic migration.
Yeah. So there's a lot of proposals in here, which was from the old v1 RaidGuild Classic to the new one. And so the main thing, I guess, with our bounties here is we wanted to do a couple bounties that were not only developer related. A lot of the hackathons are kind of based more towards platform kind of stuff, more heavy dev stuff, and we just decided to do a couple illustration and design bounties instead. And then on the other part of that, we have a subgraph that we have up on thegraph.com, which is linked to basically all the Molochs in the entire ecosystem. That's pretty much everything that is on daohaus. And so there's a lot of interesting stats and information and at the member level or the DAO level that you could do some cool things. You could make your own daohaus, you could make a stats page. Someone else was talking about doing a notification system, a lot of things that could be used in this space, and you don't have to interact directly with the contracts using the subgraph, which is really cool. And so that's kind of a quick rundown of what RaidGuild is. Definitely come check us out on our Discord and introduce yourself. We're always looking for new members, people that have been in the space, people who want to do some work in a new kind of crazy experiment. And with that, I'll try to pass it over to Ven. So should I give it back to you first, Simona?
I'm gonna switch, give Ven host, and then Ven, what you need to do is start sharing your screen. If you have things to share, that is. Start sharing your screen and then go and pass host back to me. Ven.
Ven, are you still there?
No, is it in?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi.
Yeah. Okay.
We were like, has he gone to get a cup of coffee?
Oh yeah, so I don't need to share right now. Can I just share at a later time?
Sure,
Yes,
but you need to
can just
pass
talk now.
host back to me just in case.
Okay, to share or whatever.
No, just pass. So go to participants and then go more and next to my name and do make host.
Oh, okay, I see. Boop.
Cool.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, now, okay, cool. So then if I need to share a screen, then I ask you.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, maybe we should talk more about like how we do raids and like how we actually like function in the raid guild a little bit
Yeah.
more. Just for a little
Yeah, I
bit of
think
an
that's good
insight into
information.
like, yeah, like kind of like how we work and you know like what's happening. Yeah, like Deacon said, we're doing a lot of cool things, both you know, external client facing projects. People come to the guild and ask for us to help them on a product or whatever. But we also have like a lot of internal ideas that are generated, things that are just like being built within the community and things for the community. So, so whatever the idea is, whether it's external or internal, like we just an idea like springs up in the guild, and then we just coalesce around it. Basically, someone becomes like the raid lead usually, and just to kind of push forward an initiative if it is like a good idea that gets signal from other guild members, and then other guild members will just join that team, which is we just call a raid party, and then the raid party just goes and destroys whatever that is basically, and just ships as quick as possible basically usually. So there's probably like 15 or 20 different things going on, different raid parties going on for different things. Improvements to the guild, improvements to, or just things for the ETH ecosystem itself, or client projects. But just like all these different raid parties happening all over the place, and they're just, each one is like autonomous in its own way. So like there are, the guild itself is big and has lots of people, and they make suggestions on how to do those raids, but when it comes to it, when the raid party's up and running, it's completely autonomous and can do it its own way. So just really hyper local governance on that kind of stuff, so they can just like decide who did what, you know, who gets paid what, but everything's on that like hyper local level. And then after they made from that raid back into the guild as tribute. So it's kind of like a little tax to kind of like keep the guild bank going up, so that the community has more funds, more sustainable to run its operations and to do all the different things that that a community would need, especially one that's like a decentralized workforce basically. But yeah, it's really fun and gamified. We all have, which is probably a good segue into the bounties, but we have like all these different roles, which I guess I could share screen now, Simona, if you don't mind. Nice. Let's see. Yeah, so we have a bunch of like roles. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. So not only are we a guild doing a bunch of work together and whatever, but we're also like thinking about what it means to be a guild and also working on that idea itself. So one output of the guild will be like, okay, cool, we're working as a guild. We don't want to scale infinitely, but other people can also like take our framework and like go and make their own guild basically. So we're working on a handbook also, which you can find over here, which just kind of has some of the information overviews, glossary of our terms. We basically have our own lexicon, from loot to raid parties and round tables and taverns and all kinds of things. But yeah, just poke around in there if you're curious. Quest logs for like how to do different things throughout the guild, starting raids, engaging new members, those types of things. Let me find the, oh yeah, so we have all these roles within the guild. So like based on skill sets like design, treasury, ops, biz dev, backend dev, DevOps, community, front end devs, smart contract writers. There are other ones also, like various different like elements of like what everybody needs basically, so that everybody can kind of like focus on their skill that they're best at and enjoy doing most. So everybody's kind of just like hopefully doing like what they do best. to help everybody
Yeah, we
else.
just added the druid.
Oh yeah, the druid. What's the druid? Oh, data science, right? Which is a cool one.
Data
That's like
science
a
and
really neat one.
analytics.
We have an analytics problem in Web3, but yeah, maybe they can kind of help sort us or help sort the data with this a little bit. But so one of the bounties was to kind of design little badges for each of these roles, so that we can kind of visualize that around the guild, so that everybody can kind of like easily see, you know, what roles people have and or what skills people have and things like that, to kind of like help inform like building raid parties. But also it's just really fun. So that was like one of the bounties, was to do, oh wait, let me go to the bounties. Yeah, so the roles bounty is really just like trying to like design like a design system more than like a visual style of like a finished icons for these roles or whatever. But we're kind of just like thinking about, you know, what like a design system, a visual language that can be used to kind of build out, you know, a lot of icons over like, but in a way that where they're coherent and like or cohesive, like a cohesive design style that can communicate the role basically. So, but also just like a fun little icon basically. Yeah, that's the roles bounty. And the other design bounty is more around a similar idea, but more around like achievements. So like when a guild member, there's a lot of achievements that are completed in the guild. One of our favorites is raid ship, which is kind of like, well, yeah, I think it's really here, but yeah, I mean, we're consistently like shipping projects. Like every week, there's like whatever, at least like 2 or 3 things that it feels like anyway that get shipped. And there's always like a final push that you have to do, whether it's like a really short project that's maybe it's only like a week project from from idea, and it needs to be shipped on like Friday or something. So it's like a really quick raid to get like a small thing up and out to the community basically. So if you succeed in that, then like it's kind of like we call it a raid ship basically. It's just like a get it done basically. And then, but also like on a larger project, like the final push, a lot of the time you get to like, what do you usually say, Deacon? Like when you get to like 95%, there's like 25% left or something. What is that saying?
Yeah, the 25%, the last 25% takes 75% of the time, maybe.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like you're almost done, but then there's like all these little things all over the place. So it's kind of just like a nice, like all hands on deck raid ship moment to like kind of like get all those things together and just polish it and get it shipped. So yeah, I don't know. That's like a nice thing that we like to incentivize the guild to do, you know. So raid ship is a good one for that. And then the other achievement here mentioned is raid boss, which is also really, really important in the community, which is, it is decentralized. There are no leaders. Everybody, we're all admins, we're all whatever. We all have different power, but we all have power. So, but like these ideas spring up in the guild, and it really takes like a human to like champion that and to take it and to like, you know, go and find other people to self-organize around that and to like, and to get it, can't do it alone. This is about doing things together. So it really does help to have someone be a raid boss where they can like really, yeah, just champion an initiative, whatever it is, a project or an idea or document or whatever it is. But so that's another like great achievement that we like to incentivize. So these bounties are just like, we would be giving these out as like NFTs to members basically. So like the DAO, eventually we'll be able to just like vote on them and be like, oh, let's send Deacon a raid ship badge, or let's send Sam a raid boss badge or whatever. And the DAO will like make these NFTs and send them to the members basically.
Yeah, one of the other projects we're working on kind of as a potential hackathon project is the badges. It's like an app around this. And so like in these 2 examples with the raid ship and raid boss, they're the DAO, the entire DAO will vote on it before minting one of these achievements. So So the NFT can only be issued that way, and the contract is locked to the DAO in that way. So any of these achievements have had the consensus of the entire DAO. So they have a little more weight than just like a normal NFT that anyone could go mint. They're very specific to actual passing proposal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll basically be like a statement of like a bunch of these humans like voted to like give this person this achievement. So it's like backed by like human consensus, which is interesting. But yeah,
And isn't
more
there
things
like, isn't on the other
But-
bounty there's more of the badges around participation, or is that not on there?
Oh, we weren't going to do that. Oh, that might have been on. Yeah, that might be on the. I might have skipped. Oh yeah, yeah, that was a good. Yeah, good point. So there is another. There's two different classes of icon packs, basically, like one for the roles, and then another one that you can do. You can do either one of these bounties, or A or B, basically. You don't have to do both. But yeah, similar idea, like a visual language around like programmatic achievements. Though these would be more like programmatic, not like human decided things, but like okay, you've submitted like 20 proposals in the DAO, or you voted 100 times in the DAO, or like things like that to kind of like reward and incentivize participation in the DAO itself. But yeah, that's also an option to do on the badge bounty here. And I guess, yeah, you could go either way. I mean, you could do, we kind of said focus more on visual language, but if you wanted to get more styly and try to like do like one finished badge or icon, that would be cool too. But I think for the most part, we're just kind of like looking for a system that we can implement over time. Basically, as we come up with more achievements that we want to like spread throughout the network, or things like that. So yeah, it's pretty much the bounty. Is there anything else that I should talk about, or should we go to Sam, or any questions actually on bounties before we move on to something else?
So I think Felipe had some questions in the chat, but Yaler responded to most of them.
Well, there we go. Decentralized communities in action. I like it.
He slid into the DMs.
Slid into the DMs in the middle of a live stream?
How could you, Philippe?
That's Felipe for you. We're all friends. We're all friends.
What he's talking about right now? Okay.
He's talking about the badges, his art badges.
Oh, he's doing it? Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Felipe is an amazing illustrator, by the way. If everybody doesn't know this, an amazing illustrator.
He is.
Love it.
We need to see more of it. I wish people would post more of their art. I mean, I guess that maybe like is, they want to keep their stuff secret until the last minute, but I wish they would share it in the channel. So it would be so cool if we could see stuff in progress.
I want to see Felipe's raid ship.
He says, I do not do that.
Felipe is actually good about showing progress, which is nice. I think that's I don't know. I feel like people don't share enough like in progress work. You know, they're like, oh, here's this finished work, and everybody's like, oh, that's amazing. I can never do that. But then like when you see like people like showing in progress, you're like, oh, I see what's going on. This is cool. Yeah, I don't know, that's really neat.
So
That's how I feel about
the last
smart
part of
contracts.
this is more. It's not an actual bounty that's up on Bounties Network, but it's basically just like something for more dev style people to do, and it's using our subgraph that we built for the DAOs, and I think Sam will be able to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I can share.
Okay.
My screen.
Okay. So
Oh,
Ben,
yeah, I
do you
guess
want to
there's no
pass
bounty.
it to Sam?
Yep, on it. I got this down now. There you go. Oh, I'm still sharing too. There we go.
This one is, there's no bounty because it's more for actual membership into the Raid Guild, which usually would cost 1 WETH. That money goes into our shared bank, but the DAO will actually pay for this person to cover that, so, or the team or whoever wants to play with us.
So this would fast track you into the guild, building
And
something
then
cool. with it.
Sam, do you mind passing host straight back to me? You'll retain all of your sharing capabilities, but just go against my name, and where there's more and the drop down, make host.
Is that good?
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to say about the bounties actually. Yeah, any of those. I mean, they're all any work submitted to the guild at all can be offered as tribute to join the guild. I mean, it's just a human community. So if we see high quality work that's submitted as tribute to the guild, then we'll very likely vote you in. So yeah, just a side point there.
Okay. So yeah, hopefully this isn't super boring tech stuff, but little background. We built this daohaus app, and this is a place to come and like explore Moloch DAOs and summon your own. And so to like do this efficiently, we recently just built a big subgraph on the graph that allows us that basically caches on-chain data as events in these Moloch DAOs occur. And then it gives front ends a really easy way through GraphQL to query all of this activity. So like all of this data that you're seeing here is just coming through just one single subgraph that we have. So it's pretty cool. There's quite a bit of data here that you can use in a front end that's completely open, that anybody could build stuff around to expose things that are happening within the like Moloch universe. So we'll share this URL, but this is the daohaus subgraph. So this is the tool that you could use for this sort of bounty. It's got quite a bit of entities. Moloch entities, any DAO launched through daohaus. Members, obviously any member within a DAO, votes within a DAO, proposals, and then tokens and token balances. So that's all for V2. Molochs can have multiple tokens in their guild bank. So, I mean, if you're used to GraphQL at all, it's just like this Explorer is just like any GraphQL Explorer. You can build all sorts of detailed queries. So I'd come here and play around. We do all sorts of stuff like daohaus will just do a big query, for all the Molochs, and that's how we would build a page like this. Or like on your profile page within daohaus. Oh, hang on. We can do a query for all the DAOs a member is in, for instance, like this. So this is like all my DAO memberships. So you can get some pretty rich detail without having to interact with contracts at all, or the blockchain or Web3 or anything like that. And so like what's kind of cool about this is like right now we use it for Metacart or for daohaus. We're in the process of integrating it into Pokemol, so it'll be used for this interface as well. And then we're building other different interfaces with it as well, like the Moloch DAO badges that Deacon was just talking about. So like this just uses this entity called badge, which is probably a bad name, but more or less this is just aggregating activity on the member level. So I can see all the times I voted on any Moloch DAO within the universe. or any times I've sponsored a proposal or been jailed and stuff like that. So that's kind of the idea here, is like we can just, with this subgraph, quickly build out, oh, Peter Pan has submitted 89 proposals on Moloch V1s. That's pretty awesome. So that's another use case. Yeah, I think we've got somebody in the guild building out like a notification system for like Discord bots and stuff. So like, you know, there's all sorts of different use cases you could think of and build out with this. One I'd like to really see is like a DAO health dashboard showing just for a single DAO, maybe like some specific stats around how it's doing, how it's performing, is it active, that kind of stuff. We have a little bit of a dashboard across all the DAOs, but this is like another thing that this subgraph like makes super easy, is we can see there's like a graph of all like activity, votes, proposals, memberships since February 2019, when, you know, the first Moloch launched at ETH Denver. So cool stuff like that. And just real quick, if you're still want to get even nerdier here, let me share. I'll just show you how quickly like integrated into, say, our React app. Let me change what I'm sharing. Oh, I'm disabled. Can I? Okay. And then I'll pass it back, Simona.
Cool. Perfect.
The batch thing he just showed is kind of a accumulation of both the bounties that Vin talked about and this graph that the Sam is showing. So there are a lot of kind of fun things you can do.
Okay, so if there's any devs out there, like, and if you guys know Apollo Boost, or you know, if you're familiar with GraphQL Apollo, it'd all be really familiar, but Apollo Boost is pretty sweet and really easy to integrate. So all I'm doing at like my index.js here is like initiating an Apollo client. I'm giving it the URL for that subgraph, and then I'm wrapping the whole app in this Apollo provider. And that gives me a context where I can go and make queries on this graph anywhere in my app. So like, for instance, that leaderboard we just looked at, Apollo React hooks come with, Apollo has these like React hooks. Use query is a super easy one. So I'm just giving it a query. Once it loads, I've got all that data really, really easily. And so you just build a query just like you would any GraphQL query you're used to in JavaScript apps. You can pass variables through. So like this is getting all the badges for a member address. This one's just getting all leaders. There's all sorts of rich stuff you can do. Then you've got your data and you're building it out super fast. So if you guys, anybody wants to jump on this and start building anything like this, you can reach out, we'll post all these URLs to the graph, to, you know, docs around how it all works. But yeah, it should be.
With that use query, you can see it just returns loading, error, and data. And so data has the return of that query. It's super easy.
That's it.
Yeah, that's super
Yeah,
cool.
reach out to us if you have tech questions or want to, you know, jump in and start building something.
Are you
Yeah, if
guys
anyone-
in the Discord?
Yes.
Yeah, RaidGuild has
Okay,
their
cool.
own channel.
I'll
Perfect.
drop all these links to this stuff in there. Oh, and it's on Kovan as well, so if you want to play around on testnet, that's fine too.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions now, I guess, or about the RaidGuild or the bounties or the subgraph, ask them now, or just post over there in Discord and we can answer.
Yeah, Felipe, did you have any other questions, or are you good?
Guess Felipe's sexy microphone's
Okay.
not working anymore.
No, he's good.
I can speak. I didn't know I could speak. I'm just writing stuff. I already knew how to use F12, so I'm good. I created my squad. It's the Squad Duarte, and I'm gonna fulfill my first bounty now.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a
I
couple
remember
other.
Couple other what?
Oh, there's a
You're the
couple other
boss, you can tell me.
submissions, but we'll probably look those over. And Yaler, is there any like? Do we have to wait till the end to award? winner or
No,
anything?
you guys can. The sponsors are allowed to pay out bounties when you feel the submission fulfills your requirements, like what you're looking for.
Okay, so we'll probably
Yeah.
just look over all of them and get someone something soon so we can actually put it to our badges app.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be back to the interaction soon. I have a new job. I'm getting up to speed, and I have to make an announcement pretty soon. And that has been keeping me from doing all the push-ups and being at all the talks. But I'm really excited. It's going to be cool for everybody, I believe, and we're going to be rating very soon.
Thanks.
Cool. Any other questions out there?
Guys, you can unmute yourselves. You don't need to wait for me to do it. So if you had any other questions, ask them live directly. If not, yeah, you can find the guys in Discord, or if you want to put up all of the links to your channels as well, I think that will be helpful, like wherever people can reach you the easiest and where you're most responsive, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, easiest. I mean, yeah, we have our own guild Discord also, so but that's all available from RaidGuild.org as well. So